Good morning, students. The topic of discussion today is The Eve of St. Agnes as a Romantic Poem. The book The Eve of St. Agnes has been prescribed for you in the second paper of Part 1 Honors. This work has been composed by John Keats, who is the most romantic of all the romantic poets. John Keats is one of the most romantic poets of the 19th century. He does not concern himself with the burning problems of the day to day life. He finds life very satisfactory. He is a lover of beauty. Therefore, in his quest of beauty, he goes imaginatively to far off land of the past. In his poem on first looking into Chapman's Homer, he presents his deep love for such islands as have been dedicated to Apollo, the god of music and poetry. The romanticism of Keats therefore lies in the imaginative recreation of either mythical lands or of the historical past of mankind. In the of St. Agnes, his imagination very lovingly recreates the Middle Ages. The Middle Ages present the splendor of beauty and also the horror of the terrible. In the of St. Agnes, the horror of the terrible has been merely hinted at. For example, old Angela tells Porphyro that if the guests assembled in the chamber arise and come to know about his presence, they will cut him up into pieces. Rather, they will slaughter him. They have been likened to hyena, but Keats does not have the capacity to strike beauty out of horror. He cannot present the terrible in its fascination. Therefore, he has concentrated his attention on the loveliness of the Middle Ages. In quest of beauty, he goes to the Middle Ages. Keats has a richly sensuous imagination. He is a romantic in the sense that he pursues the sensuous beauty and creates it in all his poems. This poem presents a feast of rich and delicious sensuousness. The sensuous imagination of the reader is amply satisfied. For example, the luxuriant beauty of the Gothic window, the uplifting and the sublimating radiant beauty of Madeline in prayer, the softly sensuous charm of Madeline undressing in her room, and the sweet music of the lute played upon by Porphyro provide ample satisfaction to the sensuous imagination of the reader. The romanticism is allied not only with sensuous beauty but also with wideness and the eerie. The romantic love for the wind and the eerie has been plentifully introduced by Coleridge in his poem about the supernatural. The cold atmosphere tends towards whiteness. Keats presents himself as a successful creator of a wide atmosphere. It is the darkness of the night atmosphere. It is the darkness of the night outside the castle. The flaw-blown sleet patter, and ice gusts rave and beat. The curtains flutter in the besieging wind's uproar, and long carpets rise along the gusty floor. An impression is created that the atmosphere is ridden with supernatural. Porphyro rightly says that it is an elfin storm coming from fairyland. Thus, the effect of a strangeness has been created in the atmosphere. The romantic imagination of kids and of the reader is satisfied with looking at new creatures and listening to new tones. For example, the romantic imagination is satisfied with looking at a strange human being of the past, the Bitsman. It is satisfying to see him turning his rosary through his numb fingers and going to church to pray. Kids presents the imaginative pleasure of witnessing the status of knights in armor and of ladies in hoods. He provides the pleasure of seeing the glittering argent revelry. Young men with their minds are stuffed with triumphs, gay of old romance and dressed in plum, tiara, and a splendid dress. Old Angela, with her talk about the power of supernaturals, fans the romantic imagination of the reader. In short, it recreates the past so that the romantic desire to enjoy the past may be sufficiently fulfilled. It transports its readers from the contemporary England of the 19th century to the beauty of lovers. Their love develops in the hostile atmosphere of the family feud. In this respect, their love is romantic, like the love of Romeo and Juliet. The love of Porphyro is so strong that he comes from far off across the moors with a heart on fire for Madeline. He knows that he is going to his enemy's den. Old Angela advises him to go away and seek his safety. But his love for Madeline is so strong that he prefers being cut up into pieces to going away without seeing Madeline. For a romantic lover, no sacrifice is too great for the object of his love. For a romantic lover, the object of love is the object of worship and reverence. Porphyro requests old Angela and sends to give him the sight of Madeline so that he may see and worship all unseen. Madeline in prayer appears to him as an angel. He awakes Madeline with these words: Awake, arise, my seraph, thou art my heaven, and I thine eremite. Porphyro considers himself a famous pilgrim and Madeline his shrine. The physical union of Porphyro and Madeline has been given the most enchanting beauty that the sensuous imagination is capable of giving. Thus, in this poem, love has been given romantic glorification. The end of the poem is typically romantic. Madeline and Porphyro go out of the castle into the rain and the storm, strengthen only their mutual love. With his imagination, Keats has created a vision of loveliness and beauty. Images, similes, and metaphors have been used to keep the imagination of the readers tied in the Middle Ages. For example, the painting of old Angela, with her heart and mind full of suffocating emotion and thought, has been linked to a tongueless nightingale that heart stifled dies in her den. Madeline in prayer looks like an angel. She, standing knee deep in such clothes, which is very much rich and pompous, looks like a mermaid in seaweed. The stormy night reminds kids of the night when Madeline pays back monstrous debt to the demon. In this way, images, similes, and metaphors keep the imagination of the reader arrested in the Middle Ages. Although the supernatural creatures are not seen, yet the suggestion of the supernatural active on this night has been sufficiently given. Keats makes a reference to the legend fairies moving up and down in the bedsheet of Madeline. Pale enchantment holds her sleepy-eyed. Thus, this poem is a charming creation of the romantic imagination of Keats. The romantic charm is slightly broken by the strategy adopted by Porphyro to meet Madeline. This poem would have been perfectly realistic too. Therefore, he has given the touch of reality to this beautiful vision. The dream of Madeline becomes a reality. Actually, the power of love of Madeline is so impressive that Porphyro comes not only in his dream but also in reality. Actually, her dream materializes into reality. Her lover does not come in dream, he comes to her as a reality. Therefore, the romantic vision has been made realistic. However, the richness of beauty that Keats has created here makes it a beautiful product of romantic imagination. Thank you.